Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered, and it keeps no record of right or wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but it rejoices with the truth. It always protects. It always trusts. Always hopes. Always perseveres. Love never fails. Now these three things remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Good morning, people of God. I come to you this morning from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, beginning at verse 4. Man, Paul ends one of the greatest love chapters ever written. A chapter on love that you can't get from any other book except the book of God. And Paul simply says that the greatest of all that's left is love. Did you know that after all of your faith is stripped away and is gone, and after all of the hope that you have inside of you is gone, the only thing that will remain is your love? You see, when you're gone, people will mention your faith, but they can't feel and they won't be affected by your faith. People will mention and talk about some of the hope you have, but they won't be moved by your hope. What people will know most about you is how you loved. When we talk about Jesus Christ, the Son of God, we mention the faith that he had, and we talk about good faith deeds and all of that. We talk about the hope that he held, but there are some chapters on it. But when we talk about Jesus the most, what we remember is his love for us. He loved us so much. We are moved by his love. Love spurs compassion and passion for life. When we talk about him and his sacrifices, the root of all of it is love. If it was not for love, Jesus could not have given his life. If it was not for love, Jesus would have no compassion for mankind. He had no understanding for us, but because of his love, he was willing to die for us. The Bible says that God demonstrated his love for us in this, that while we were still sinners, Christ gave his life for us. Paul says, after all has been stripped away, what remains is love. You can never destroy love. Have you been weak? Have you been deficient in your love bank? How's your love right now? Are you feeling lovely? Do you feel like you have love for mankind? Do you have someone special in your life whom you love very much? Is God special to you? Are you loving on your pastor? Are you loving on the congregation at your church? Are you loving on the people in your community? Are you loving on folks at your job? Are you have a special love for your wife or for your husband that you're reserving just for them? And what about your children? Do you love your children? Or are you sacrificing for them? It was interesting the way Paul began this chapter. He simply said that love is patient. Man, you cannot love anybody without patience. He also said that love has to be kind. I can't be mean to folk, mean to my wife, mean to my children, mean to everybody and say I love them. Love does not envy. Oh, I tell you what, I'll be honest with you, man, that is a difficult one. Because we all want to be somebody, don't we? And every now and again, whether we know it or not, we begin to envy other folk. Whether it be their position, their status, maybe the things that they have, we begin to envy. We begin to measure our blessings against their blessings because we're not getting the things that they have or that they're doing. And we get a little bit envious, don't we? Even as Christians. We have to pray that out of our spirit. We want particular leadership positions. We want promotion. We want a good husband. We want a good wife. We want health. We want happiness. We want peace. We want a good marriage. We want all of that stuff. And from time to time, we get a little bit envious, don't we? But Paul is saying this is the standard. It's a measurement. He knew that we wouldn't be perfected in it. He was telling the church that you got to work at this thing. This isn't something that just happens to you. You don't just become non-envious just because you say you love somebody. No, you got to practice and pray on that thing. You have to practice kindness. Kindness is something that you do. These are all attributes of the Spirit. You can't just have these things. You have to develop these things. It's interesting. You never knew. See, we've always thought love was just a feeling. No, love is something that you do. It's something that you demonstrate. Have you demonstrated your love today? Have you demonstrated your love lately? Have you been patient with those that you love? Have you been kind to those that you love and who love you? And have you dealt with this envy in your spirit? Man, it happens in the church sectors. It happens in the world sector. It happens every single day. We become envious of folk and it hinders our love. Pray about that spirit of envy in your life today. It's holding you back. It's making you measure your blessings in the wrong way. Paul says that love doesn't boast. Ooh, Jesus, help me, God. You don't boast when you love. Love keeps no records of right and wrong and is not rude. Have you ever met somebody who say they love you, but they're rude all the time? Just rude, man. You love, but man, how you gonna love and you always rude? You got some ill to say all the time. You don't respect nobody. You can't have love without respect? Rude. Stop being rude, people of God. It doesn't make you look lovely or beautiful. It makes you look pathetic and pitiful. Don't be rude to people. Love with a pure heart. A disposition that says, man, I accept you for who you are and I love you. God bless you. I don't hate you in any way. I will sacrifice for you. Love will make you sacrifice. Paul says that real love is not self-seeking. That kind of goes along with the envious thing, don't it? Being envy. We got to stop just seeking just for ourselves. I'm not trying to love you to make me better. I'm not trying to love you, just have love for you so that I can feel better and do better and have more stuff. No. I just love you because of who you are. I'm willing to sacrifice a piece of me to love you. Man, God, help us not to be self-seeking and rude, God. God, help us not to be envious of other folk, God. Teach us to be more kind, God. Teach us to be patient. Isn't it interesting that he began the chapter with patience? Because you got to have patience to deal with all these attributes of love. You can't have all these without no patience. I'm going to tell you, it's going to take some time and some work. You're not just going to love like this just naturally. It's not natural for mankind. That's the good news. It doesn't come natural for me. It doesn't come natural for anybody. The only one it ever came natural for was Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and his Father in heaven. They knew how to love because God is love. Paul says that it keeps no records of right and wrong, and it's not easily angered. You ever met somebody who's always angry? They're always mad, have no peace. They get mad so easily, man. Why you get mad so easily, but you say you love somebody? Baby, I love you, but you're mad so easily. Lord, forgive me. Wash us, Lord, of this anger, Lord. You see, it goes back to being patient. It goes back to being envious of folk. It goes back to you keeping records. It goes back to that pride that you have. Real love isn't proud, Paul says. I have no pride in love. I don't mind embarrassing myself to love you better. Man, I'm preaching to myself today. Sacrifice because you love. Paul said it keeps no records of right and wrong, nor does it delight in evil, but it rejoices with the truth. It rejoices with the truth. It's like a dance. When the truth happens, it's going to love and rejoice in it. Love is always happy to see the truth come out because it's been waiting on it anyway, because it's been sacrificing, it's been being patient, it's been living right, it's been doing right. It's not hiding stuff. It ain't trying to hide nothing. You don't have to wait in the darkness. Love don't have to hide anything because true love is going to be seen. It's going to come out because you see love by the sacrifices that you make. Do you love today? He finally says that it always protects, it always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails because it perseveres. It perseveres. Do you have a persevering love today? After all has been stripped away, your faith, your hope, and integrity, your character, all been stripped away, what's going to remain is your love. That's what's going to be weighed on the scales of life. Do you have a genuine love in your heart? Pray about that love today. Pray about your heart of love. Ask God to remove that envy, remove the pride, Father. Help me to deal with that. God, help me to be more patient, Father, with people, more patient with my wife, more patient with my husband and my children, more patient on my job, Father. Help me not to use my words to hurt folk, God. Help me to know how to have a love for my wife, how to have a love for my husband, how to have a love for my children, and then how to have love for other folk who are outside of my immediate family. Help me with that, God, because those are different levels of love and different levels of sacrifice. Be blessed. Endure through all your trials and know that God is with you and he has called you to love today. Endure.